Okay, everybody, this is Emar Soputu, the Sports Inquirer, and have to be joined by Nicole Fegans from Georgia Tech Track and Field. Nicole, thank you for joining us early on a Thursday morning. How are you doing physically and mentally? Just getting ready for the NCAAs in a few days.
I'm doing really well. I'm super excited. This time of the year is always a little nerve-wracking because you're just constantly watching like the rankings of top 16. And the fact that I was able to get here is just super awesome. Yeah, I couldn't be more excited than I am right now.
Let's go back to the ACCs a few weeks ago. You were able to win the indoor 3,000 meter race. I'll take you back to that race and what you were able to do well to come out with the victory.
So going into that race, I talked with my coach just about, you know what, we're just going to go out. You're going to run a steady first half of the race, and the last bit just start working hard. And it was a little hot in that facility, so we tried to slow it down just a smidgen, just to like make sure that I don't exhaust myself in the beginning. And I pretty much just kind of stayed with that. I stayed confident and relaxed the entire time, which I think really helped. I feel in the past, if I would have done that as like a freshman or a sophomore, it would have been a lot to be like, oh, well, now this girl's passing you and there's another girl passing you. Now you got to pick it up and fight that, change. And this time I just stayed relaxed and like, you know what, it's okay. Just stay with them. And then the last little bit start kicking. And that's what I did. And I think experience and some confidence too definitely helped me with that.
Yeah, what about running indoors? You run three different sports, I think, in cross country, and I consider indoor and outdoor different sports, even though they're, I guess, technically the same in a way. How's the strategy different with an indoor competition comparison to cross country, where you're out in the woods, literally, and then outdoor when you're on the big track?
I know one thing for sure is because the turns are so much closer together, the straightaways are only 50 meters, whereas outdoors it's like an entire 100 and then some. You really have to get strategic on when you plan on passing people because, you don't want to spend forever in that second lane. And so you kind of have to, when you're wanting to pass people, you got to pass them then and not wait too long because don't want to exhaust yourself by being outside for too long. And I feel like that's definitely the biggest one. And also it's a lot harder of a mental game almost because when you're doing the 5K indoors, it's 25 laps. So even though it's just the same amount of time, it feels like it takes a lot longer because when you look up at the scoreboard, like, man, I feel like I've been running forever and it's like 19 laps left. Mentally, it can be a shock sometimes. So just kind of preparing yourself going into these meets, knowing like, look, it's a lot of laps. It's the same distance though. It's the same time, like just worry about time. And that's definitely, I know over the years helped me because I used to freak out at the high numbers. And now I'm able to just be like, you know what, it's the same race. Just don't look at the board, the number counter.
And how do you approach the indoor season? I'm talking to different athletes and coaches, where cross country is a major focus, and then the outdoor track season gets a lot of attention. But it seems like indoors, is like in the middle of that. How do you approach it? Do you really obviously you competed very well in it, but how do you look at it as preparation for your outdoor season? You look at it as kind of an extension of your cross country year. Where does that fit within your athletic schedule?
In a way, it's some preparation for outdoor, like if you don't PR indoors, it's like sometimes like, it's okay, just get close to your PRs and outdoor, you'll be able to fly off. But I feel like once you move through college, it's becomes more of a, no, I want to PR indoor. I want to get some good times and I have an outdoor 5K time now. So I want to beat that time. And so it does become a little bit more just as competitive as you get in outdoors and in cross country. Yeah, it gets a lot more tense as the year goes on, but
Yeah, and you were All America in 2020 in this same race, an indoor season. What can you take away from that experience 2 years ago as you prepare for the 2022 edition of the indoor championships?
yeah. So, well, COVID happened that year. You probably completely forgot, which is I completely forget COVID was then, but last year when I went,
Oh, it was 2020, right? Right.
yeah,
It was
it's all right.
2021. Yeah, but it's listed. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, but you've been in this position before as an athlete. What can you take away from your last year's
Yeah.
experience heading into 2022?
Yeah, well, last year, it was definitely still a shock, even though I was a senior. It still felt like I was, a freshman amongst a bunch of fast women. And I think a little bit of that messed with my confidence. in longer distance running, there's a lot more tactics that come into it with like, not everyone wants to take the lead. Not everyone wants to speed up. And so that there's a lot of like slowing down in the middle of the race and a lot of shuffling back and forth. And that definitely messed with me mentally within the race, which was kind of frustrating once I got out of it. I'm like, oh, I should have been fine. But I think going into this race, I'm knowing like, one, I deserve to be here. And then the other thing is just to stay, engage in the race and don't let the shuffling around mess me up in my race. And just know like I'm as good as any girl here, and I'll be okay no matter what happens.
Yeah, and just how preparation's been going for you. Have you rested since your last meet? Have you been on the track? How have you prepared for this upcoming weekend and your competition?
I've definitely been trying to focus on getting good sleep, and making sure all the little things like nutrition and, like I said, sleep already and hydration are where they need to be. We've had a couple good workouts that were definitely a little challenging, but they make me, they're still making me feel like, okay, I'm in shape, I'm doing well in these, and I'm feeling good. So I think we've had some great preparation going into this.
Yeah, and this is most likely or possibly your last indoor NCAA competition. What are the emotions as far as that goes? I know you still have the entire outdoor season to go, but this will close one chapter in your collegiate career.
It's definitely been weird. As the years gone on, there's been random moments where I'm like, wow, this is my last Wednesday in February practice, and this is my last Sunday long run, and things like that have popped up. But yeah, it's exciting, but also, it is sad. I'm going to miss this a lot. And you don't realize how much you're going to miss it until it's like, oh, well, this is my last time I ever get to do this. So it's been weird, but I'm just trying to like take in everything and appreciate everything I can before it's, done.
Well, Nicole, thank you for your time. We appreciate it, and safe travels to Birmingham.
Awesome. Thank you so much.